In this video, I want to show you some softwares or websites that you can use to easily and quickly create covers for your KDP books, including using some free software. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Caroline and I make videos to help you master your mindset and make money online so that you can build a life you love. If you do enjoy watching videos like this, please take a moment to subscribe. I really do appreciate it. And don't forget to click the bell so that you get a notification whenever I do upload new videos just like this. Creating professional and really high quality covers for your KDP books is one of the most important steps in your book creation process, because this is basically what sells your book. It's what makes a customer click on your Amazon listing over all the others. And it's especially important if you are creating and selling no content books like notebooks and journals, because those books are just simply lined pages, and it's really the cover that pulls the customer in and makes them decide what notebook or journal they're going to buy. If you want your books to compete with those books that are already in the top spots in the Amazon marketplace, those with the really low BSRs, and selling lots of books every day, you are going to have to learn some basic graphic design skills. You don't need to be an expert to start by any means, but you do need to learn the basics to get started and then continue learning as you go. Otherwise, you'll end up just making a bunch of books that don't really sell. You have to think of your book being side by side with hundreds, probably even thousands of other books that are exactly like yours. And it's the cover that's going to make the customer decide whether to buy your book rather than the book next to yours, and vice versa. First of all, I just want to quickly show you some covers that I've come across on Amazon that, in my opinion, just aren't really good enough to be competing on KDP or on the Amazon marketplace. Now, most of the notebooks and journals that I looked at with covers that, in my opinion, aren't that great are mostly to do with more of the layout, I would say, rather than the actual design itself. Now, this first one that I've got up here, People I Want to Punch in the Throat floral blank lined notebook. Now, this is just me. This is just my opinion, and you may have a completely different opinion to me, so that's fine. If I wanted to create a notebook that talked about wanting to punch people in the throat, I probably wouldn't make it florally or pretty like that. It would more be masculine type of design, I would say. And in terms of the actual layout, I just really don't like how the circle and the words are just off to the left. I just feel like it's just not pleasing to the eye, the way that it's laid out. Obviously they did that because of this line of flowers down here, but I just personally feel like it just throws everything off center and just doesn't look good. And the font is just not noticeable in a way. I just can't really read what it says that great. I just don't think it's clear enough, and the color doesn't make it stand out. The next notebook I found was this one, a funny Valentine's Day journal. Now, this particular one, it kind of is more about the design. I just feel like it looks really amateur with these real basic clip art type of images, probably just taken from some free clip art or free icon website or something like that. And I just don't think that that sort of design is good enough to be on Amazon. Now, the next one is again related to sort of the coloring and the text and the fonts. I just don't think those colors work together. The gray is just, I don't know, it just doesn't stand out. The white kind of blends, and it just isn't, the whole layout of the font and the type of font used and the colors is just not easy on the eye. I feel like they've used too many different types of fonts here. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different fonts. I wouldn't use that many in a design, and I just don't like the way that they've tilted it. It just doesn't work together. So again, this sort of shows a lack of design knowledge, and it just doesn't have that professionalism that some of the notebooks and journals or any other kind of KDP book has in their cover. I just think that you can really tell that this was not done by a professional graphic designer. Now, this particular one, again, it's just with the layout of the text, it just really bothers me when things are not aligned. So this block of text here is all aligned, and then you've got this longer word, which obviously the word spreadsheet is longer than the word calm or keep, but what they needed to have done here is make the font small enough so that it is a rectangle. So all the font is in a rectangle. And then again, this one's just also slightly bigger than this stuff. And then in addition to that, it's off center. So the word spreadsheet isn't even centered equally under this block of text up here. So it just is so misaligned that it really bothers me. And even this part here, there's this different amount of space from the top here to this word keep compared to the amount of space below. It is just completely misaligned, and that may not bother some people, but it really bothers me. I just like things to be correctly aligned, centered, words to be correctly centered, or if they're not going to center it correctly, it needs to match and be only as wide as the rest of the text, if you get what I mean. Okay, this one, again, it's just something with the layout. It's not centered. There's less space here at the bottom compared to up here above. And honestly, I think it's just a really too amateur looking design. I know it's obviously has sales and it's got 2 ratings, whether that's genuine ratings from customers or not, because I just personally don't think that that is professional enough to compete on Amazon. Now this one, again, totally misaligned, totally not centered in the middle. That just bothers me so much. Look how much space they've got here on the left hand side of the text compared to over here on the right hand side. And it's just not even, it's not at the top, it's not at the bottom, it's not in the middle. Just bad layout, bad design. Same with this one. So this is just randomly placed. It's not, why is it not centered? You've got this tiny bit of space at the top here and then this big chunk of space down the bottom. Everything needs to be moved down so it's in the middle here. And the text or the font on this one, I just find that really hard to read. I wouldn't personally use a font that looks like that. I want it to be easily readable, good readability, and the font not, it kind of even looks fuzzy or blurry, but I don't know if that's the font or just the image, probably the font. But you want to use fonts that are really easy to read. And this little design down here bothers me. I don't understand why it's got this funny little love heart shape here. I would get rid of that and just have this arrow across the whole underneath of the text. It just looks funny that it only goes to here, and then it's like they've just randomly plonked this love heart there. Just don't like it. And this one, now you can't really see the cover because of that little red icon there, but that is just placed at the top randomly. That shouldn't be there. That should be down a little bit further here. It shouldn't be that high up on the page. It's slightly mis-centered, so you've got more space here to the left and less space here to the right, so it's off, it's not pleasing to the eye. And it might be, I notice these things because I like graphic design and I've taught myself graphic design, but a customer may not notice these things consciously, but they might just look at this cover and just kind of in their head go, there's something wrong, I just don't like this, and they'll just sort of skip past it. And they don't realize maybe that it's because the design is off and it's not centered and that font is not very nice, and it'll just make them skip past. Okay, so I think I've had a look at enough notebooks and journal covers just to give you an idea of the real basics of what you should be doing when you are designing covers. It's important to make sure things are aesthetically pleasing to the eye, things are aligned correctly, and you're using easy to read fonts. Okay, so let's get into the different softwares that are available for you to use to create your covers. There are a lot out there. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but the ones that I want to look at today are good, particularly if you are a beginner, as well as if you are looking for something that's free to use. Canva is probably the most popular free software out there that people use to create their KDP covers if you don't know how to use a professional graphic design program. So you'll see a lot of people who do low content books using Canva or doing videos about how to use Canva for creating not just covers, but some people even use Canva to create their interiors as well. I wouldn't suggest that, but some people do it. Then we have Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop. This is a professional program you can use, which is what I personally think you want to aim for if you want to do this long term and create actual high quality covers. And then there is a free software which is basically the same as Photoshop, which I will show you as well. So first of all, let's take a look at Canva. Now Canva, while I do like it, I do think it's a good program and it has lots of different features within it, it is extremely limited with its graphic design capabilities. It does offer free stock images and backgrounds and fonts that you can use in your designs, but what I think Canva would work best for is really just the most simple, basic kind of covers, probably just sort of like text-based covers. So I'll show you an example. First of all, you do need to get a cover template for your cover, and you basically just go to KDP, they have everything you need there, and you can download your cover template from here. So this template will tell you how big the front cover is, the spine, and the back cover. Now, if you were creating this in Photoshop, you just upload this document. You don't need to worry about the sizing of the document that you're going to be creating, but because Canva, you have to create your design sizing first, you have to work that out. You need to create a design in Canva that is 6x9 by 6x9 plus your 0.27 inch spine plus a little bit of bleed, because you pretty much always want your covers to bleed, I would say, and you need to add 0.25 inch to account for bleed. So this document that you download from KDP, it's a little bit too large to open in Canva, so you do have to reduce the size of it before you can open it in Canva. You just need to use whatever free program you have access to that you can open up a PNG file in and save it as something else to reduce the size of it. I've just got Photoshop already open, so I'm just going to quickly do it in here. And then drag that JPEG into the designs in Canva. And so then we just spread this out so you can see where your margins are, where the cutoff is for the bleed and things like that. So if you're going to have text on your cover, make sure it doesn't go into this orangey color here. You want everything to be on this white area of the book. So this is where you get access to images that you can use, stock photos that you can use from Canva. They'll tell you down here if they're free to use if you're just on a free Canva account, but if you do sign up for Canva Pro, you'd get access to more. Same with different elements and shapes, and the fonts as well. You'll be able to see which ones are free to use if you only have the free account. So let's say you want to make the most basic cover. And that would just be a text-based cover. Now, in fact, the best-selling notebooks on Amazon are basically a completely plain notebook with the word notebook on it, and that is it. And those are basically the only kind of designs that I would suggest making with Canva. If you want to use anything with any kind of images, icons, graphics, I would not suggest Canva. I just don't think you're going to get the professionalism that you need to make a book that's actually going to sell, or to make a cover that's actually going to sell a book. So if you are using Canva, from there you would basically download your image as a high quality print PDF. Do not include crop marks and bleed. Download that, and that is all ready to upload to your KDP account. Now, one thing as well, sometimes if you want to have text on the spine here, as far as I'm aware, you can't do that with Canva, because you can't get your text to go vertical. So if I'm wrong about that, please let me know, but I don't believe that is a feature, or not in the free version anyway. So as I said earlier, Photoshop is a professional program that you can use, and I think that is what you should aim for. Now, when you are ready to step up and make high quality covers where you can pretty much customize your designs to whatever you want to be, or you want to include really good graphics, images, icons, things like that in your covers, then you are going to have to invest some time in learning and some money in purchasing a professional program, as well as continuously learning graphic design skills. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to learn a professional program, if you don't want to learn graphic design, if it's just not your thing, that's completely fine. But if you do not want to do that, I would suggest to get somebody else, a professional, to make your covers for you, if you want to continue making books that will actually sell. I use Photoshop. I've taught myself how to use it over many years. I'm not an expert at all. There's probably still a lot of things I don't know how to do with Photoshop. And what you can do in a program like Photoshop is really only limited by your imagination. You don't have to use Photoshop. I know that some people learn and use Adobe Illustrator, so that's another option. If you don't want to do Photoshop, you can always learn Illustrator. I haven't learned Illustrator, which is why I talk about Photoshop, because that's what I use. And just a quick overview of how you would create a cover in Photoshop. So as in Canva, we had to create a template. We had to work out how big the cover was going to be with the spine and the bleed and all that sort of stuff. Photoshop, you just open up this document that you download from KDP website. You don't have to create a canvas, because that is your canvas, and then you just start adding your elements on top. So if we were going to make that basic same cover, you just add your shape, and that's it, the same cover created. Obviously that's a very, very basic cover, but with Photoshop you have so many different tools available to you to create really high quality professional graphics. Now in this video I'm not going to go into much more detail about Photoshop, because this isn't really a graphic design tutorial type of video. I just want to show you the different options that are available to you if you want to take the step of starting to create some really high quality covers for your books. Now, of course, Photoshop is an investment. It's a monthly fee that you need to pay to be able to use Photoshop, and perhaps it's not in everybody's budget, or perhaps you just don't feel like you've got the skills yet to invest money into a program you don't even really know how to use. So if you are interested in using something like Photoshop, but don't want to yet spend money on it, you can step up from Canva and use a program that I came across called KDP. I have nothing to do with this program. I don't get anything from promoting it. It is a completely free web-based program, and it is basically the same as Photoshop. So I will pop a link to this program in the description below, but even down to the layout, it is just like Photoshop. So what you could do is you could learn how to use KDP, how to use all these tools down here. I mean, these tools all to the side here look exactly the same as the Photoshop toolbar. And then if you did want to eventually invest in Photoshop, the learning curve would be so much smaller and quicker than starting Photoshop from scratch. So this is a really good option for you. And even as you can see down here, this is a Photoshop extension. So you could even save your images as PSD files, which can be opened in Photoshop later on if you do end up getting Photoshop, and you can save it as any of the most popular file extensions, JPEG, PNGs, PDFs, SVGs, if you're doing that. And so basically it should be exactly the same in KDP as creating a cover in Photoshop. So let's do it. Now, I've never used KDP before. This is the first time, and so I'll give it a go, see if it is exactly the same. Oh, I like this feature here that you can just select what kind of font you want. You don't have to go through every single font. I like that. It looks like there's a lot of fonts in here as well, so that's good. And obviously I'm assuming, oh, you can upload your own font if you purchase fonts that you want to use. And that was basically exactly the same as creating a cover in Photoshop. A couple of slightly different things about it, but for the most part, the tools and everything are exactly the same. So I think this is a great alternative to using Photoshop if you're not ready or you don't have the budget yet to invest in a professional program. This would give you equally high quality covers as what you can get in Photoshop. I just wouldn't rely on this being around forever because it is a free program. It's being funded, I guess, by advertisements, which if that dries up and they have no one advertising, then this program could get shut down. So it's not something I would rely on being able to use forever. But like I say, if you want to learn Photoshop, this would be a good way to learn it before having to invest the money to actually purchase Photoshop. So I hope this video has helped you with deciding what graphic design programs, software, or websites to use for your cover design. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up to let me know, and don't forget to subscribe.